Barry Gardiner, Shadow Environment Minister. Thank you very much for joining us here at the EIC Conference.
My pleasure.
Why is it so important for Labour to champion environmental policy?
It's important for all of us to champion environmental policy. This is something that we have to get right. If we want a sustainable economy, if we want to see sustainable economic growth, your industries are the industries that are doing it, right? 6% of the economy is what environmental industries, green industries represent, just 6%. But they're providing 30% of the growth in the economy.
So it's about driving growth.
Of course, well, but it's not only about driving growth. It also happens to be the right thing, of course.
We heard earlier that only 3% of the public actually considers it to be a real, an important issue. I mean, is that a problem in terms of getting across that message?
I think it depends on the way you ask the question. I stand at the school gates around the country with my air pollution campaign, and I speak to mums and occasionally dads when they're picking up their kids from primary school. And I say, do you know that because your child is going to a school that is within 150 meters of a main road with 10,000 vehicle movements a day, that means they're likely to grow up with lungs that are a third reduced in capacity to other kids. And they're horrified. So this is something that, if you ask it in the right way, becomes phenomenally important to people.
And air pollution is one area, I mean, you described it as a disgrace. It's an area of policy that you would champion.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, as you know, we've said that we will set in place a national framework of low emission zones precisely to enable local authorities to take on the power that they need to actually tackle the problem.
Clearly, energy is a critical issue. We heard earlier from John Cridland about the triple issue, the triple problem of issues around creating sustainable supply, creating an affordable supply, but also decarbonising. I mean, how would Labour actually bring all those issues together?
Well, of course, we tried to do it in this Parliament, if you recall. I won't say just Labour, because Tim Yeo, who's the Conservative chair of the Select Committee, with myself as the Labour person, put forward an amendment to the Energy Bill, which is now the Act, that recommended a decarbonisation target by 2030. Now, that was voted against by both the Liberal Democrats and the Conservatives, so that didn't get through. Now, you try and build these sort of cross-party alliances like I did with Tim, and I'm afraid they get sunk. But we in the Labour Party are absolutely signed up to, we've announced it as our policy, there will be a decarbonisation target for 2030, and we will meet that. But you talk of other aspects of energy security and resilience and security of supply. We also have to look at the energy intensiveness of our use. We also have to look at reductions in energy use. And if you look at what we're doing now, I think everybody accepts that the Green Deal has been a complete disaster. We said this 4 years ago, but even the government now is no longer trying to claim that it's been a success. But what Labour is saying is that we will actually work with local authorities to put through 5 million homes to get them properly insulated, creating jobs and skills in the economy as we do so. But these are ways that we just have to get this right, whether it's on energy efficiency, whether it's on long-term investment planning, whether it's on decarbonisation targets. All of this goes into the energy mix. And if I can just add, we've also then got the freeze on energy prices whilst we sort out the big six and the rejigging, the resetting of that energy market.
We are seeing some, I suppose, consistency of thinking between the parties around infrastructure. We heard today the National Infrastructure Plan with its, I suppose, it's trying to adopt a longer-term policy towards, a long-term thinking towards infrastructure. I mean, is that plan, is that a good thing?
We have said, I announced about 2 months ago, that we would have a national infrastructure plan and that the environment is absolutely at the heart of that it would be a 25 to 30 year basis that we're doing this. And we have said that we will do our flooding preparations, our flood defences on that timescale. Now, the government says that the furthest it stretches out to is 2021, and if you listen to the Committee on Climate Change, even then they're not tackling the problem that they foresee with given the number of properties, the 800,000 additional properties that will be at risk by then.
Will we see advances in the approach in the legislation around SUDs by that time? Is that ever in sight? Is that an issue that you want to take on in a Labour government?
You know it is.
Let's move on. Let's move on from SUDs.
But no, don't move on from it, because we haven't moved on from it for the past 4.5 years. And this is the look. We've got to. It's about planning. We've got to make sure that in every local authority, up and down the country, this is absolute basic necessity, and that we instill this from the ground up. You cannot go on having the sort of misconnections, having the sort of problems with impermeable surfaces that we've seen. Those sustainable drainage schemes are absolutely vital. I've been working in my own constituency for 12 years on this as an issue. And because this government has just backed off doing anything on subs, we can't make progress.
But they have put £900 million or made £900 million available in the latest road investment strategy to tackle environmental issues, to make communities fit better with roads. That's a good thing, isn't it?
One might say, just give us a fraction of the money that this government is spending on roads to put into flood defences, to put into sustainable urban drainage schemes, to put into all the other environmental measures that we need, to put into effective measures to insulate homes. If we had it would be a couple of bypasses, and I could do much with that.
To be fair, though, 2.3 billion invested in flood defences today.
2.3 billion that they've announced is 500 million pounds that they have not identified where it comes from, and 70% of all of the schemes are pre-announced.
You said you were hugely depressed a bit earlier on. I mean,
I'm depressed that the consensus has broken down. They used to believe in the Climate Change Act. They used to believe in the pitch review.
Would the rest of the population be less depressed with a Labour-led government in terms of environmental policy?
For a number of reasons they would. Because their children's health and their own health would have improved. We would not have 60,000 people dying from air pollution each year prematurely. They would be better off health-wise. They would be happier because their economy and their jobs prospects would be better, because we would have doubled this sector, creating more than 1 million new jobs in the green economies alone. That is environmental, yes, but it's economic. Right at its core, this is about transforming jobs, it's about transforming the economy, it's about economic growth, it's about investigating markets that we know we should be expanding into, like China, particularly with sustainable industries and environmental industries. This is the market that we need to develop, but you need a strong domestic base to work from.
Barry, thank you very much for joining us here, and I wish you best of luck on the hustings.
Many thanks.
Thanks.
Cheers.